All right, today we are diving into a novel that is, no joke, one of the most powerful and controversial books of its time, Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure. And really, the whole thing boils down to one single gut punch of a question. Just think about that for a second. What happens when one person's deepest ambition runs headfirst into the rigid, unmoving walls of the world around them? That collision is the absolute heart of this story. So, with that in mind, let's meet the dreamer. Okay, so our guy is Jude Foley. He's a young man from a poor, tiny, rural village called Mary Green. You know, humble beginnings, but his ambition? It is anything but humble. It's absolutely massive. And this right here, this lays it all out. It's like he's living two completely different lives. By day, his reality is being a stonemason. I mean, he literally carves tombstones. But by night, that's when the dream takes over. He's on his own, teaching himself Greek and Latin, his eyes fixed on one single shining prize. And that prize has a name, Christminster. Now, this is basically Hardy's fictional version of Oxford. And for Jude, it's not just a city with a university. Oh no, it's this glowing beacon, a symbol of everything he wants to be. It's the life of the mind. But, getting there is one thing. Getting in is a whole other story. So, after all this work, all this dreaming, Jude actually does it. He makes his way to Christminster, ready to become the scholar he knows he can be. But the second he gets there, he runs smack into a wall he just can't get through. You can just picture him, can't you? Arriving in this incredible city, full of hope, looking at these colleges not just as stone buildings, but as the gateway to his entire future. The dream he's had since he was a little kid is right there, right in front of him. And the door gets slammed right in his face. It's a brutal reality check. The universities of Christminster, he learns, are for the rich, for the well-connected. They are not for a working-class stonemason from the middle of nowhere. Just like that, his biggest dream is crushed. But society is nowhere near done with him yet. So, with his academic dream in tatters, Jude's life gets pulled in a totally different direction, and he gets tangled up in another one of society's rigid institutions, Victorian marriage. And this, too, will end up breaking him. His life gets caught between two women who could not be more different. First, you've got Arabella Dowan. She's earthy, let's say, and she tricks him into a disastrous marriage. She represents a kind of social, physical trap. But then there's his cousin, Sue Bridehead. She is his total intellectual equal, his spiritual twin. She's a modern woman, skeptical, free-thinking. And with her, Jude feels like he's finally found his true soulmate. So Jude and Sue decide to just live together without getting married. A free union, they call it. And you have to understand, in Victorian England, this was a massive scandal, an unforgivable sin. The result? They're completely shunned, branded as outcasts. They can't find work, they can't find a place to live, and they're driven into grinding poverty. And this is where the story spirals into its darkest, most infamous moment. All that pressure from society, all that poverty, it builds and builds to a point that's just unbearable. And it's a pressure that their children feel most of all. They end up having 3 children. But in the eyes of the world, these kids aren't a blessing. No, they're just more proof of their parents' sin, and their existence makes a terribly hard life feel completely impossible. Believing that he's actually helping, that he's solving the family's crushing problems, Jude's oldest son, he takes the lives of his younger siblings and then his own, and he leaves this absolutely haunting note. It is, without a doubt, one of the most shocking, devastating moments in all of English literature, the horrifying peak of all that societal pressure. So, after all that horror, you have to ask, why does this story of total failure matter so much? Well, it's because Jude's tragedy isn't just personal. It's Hardy putting an entire social system on trial. He basically takes a classic type of story and turns it completely on its head. You know the classic coming-of-age story, right? The Bildungsroman where the hero grows up, learns some lessons, and finds their place in the world? Yeah, Hardy does the exact opposite of that. This story is what you'd call an anti-Bildungsroman. It's a story of coming of age that ends in nothing but failure and disillusionment. I mean, just look at the trajectory of his life. It is a complete downward spiral. He starts with all this hope and ambition, right? But every single stage, the rejection, the entrapment, the social punishment, the tragedy, it all just drags him further and further down until he finally dies totally alone and forgotten. Every step he takes is a step away from his dream. So in the end, Jude's life becomes Hardy's massive indictment of Victorian England. Through him, Hardy is attacking it all. The class barriers that won't let people rise, the marriage laws that he saw as a trap, a religion that only seemed to offer guilt, and a society that was just cruel to anyone who dared to step out of line. And let me tell you, people were not happy about it. This book was a cultural bombshell. The public outcry was so intense, so hostile, that Thomas Hardy, one of the greatest novelists of his day, just gave up. He never wrote fiction again. But in doing so, he created this dark masterpiece that was way ahead of its time, pointing toward the modern age. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on: the forces that crushed Jude. Class barriers, social rules, being punished for being different. Are those walls really gone today? Or have they just changed their shape? It's something to think about.